Hey, BYP Responds coming at you. Welcome. Monday night, October 20th. Have we lost the disclosure war? The legislation did not pass to give Congress the power to protect whistleblowers. So we're in if we haven't lost the war, we're in a new phase. Colonel Carl Nell, who's electrifying comments a while back when he said there's zero doubt that UAPs are real. UFOs are real. They exist. The NHI are real, etc. He's been one of the forefront leaders militarily who's been talking on this, among others. And now he says something electrifying. The New Paradigm Institute had a great big panel discussion. I have not seen that panel. I am getting home late from work late tonight, and so I'm fobbing off of a couple of other channels that share the clips. I'm going to share those clips with you. To say I'm disappointed would be an understatement, but I am not surprised. And Carl Nell has some things to say also along that line that, as far as disclosure goes, that I think is pertinent. Let's take a listen. Pavel at Psychoactivo.
But action needs to happen. We can't keep getting just the stories, So let me play you what Carl Nell said right here, and then we'll talk about that exchange he had with Dolan.
Yeah, Richard's probably the best person to probably kind of bounce some of these ideas off of, since he's an expert, having studied this field for many decades. So I guess the postulate I've got is that this recent cycle of disclosure that we might say started in 2017 with the Navy videos and Lou Elizondo coming out and as a whistleblower making various assertions, that cycle of disclosure is effectively ended with the failure to pass the UAP Disclosure Act, and with sort of the fourth or third in a series of hearings on the topic that I think increasingly have moved the needle less and less. And so in some sense, it seems like the people that have been at the forefront of this recent cycle have said what they've had to say. It's starting to become stale in the sense of being repetitive. The conversation isn't necessarily advancing to new topics, but really more importantly, the mechanism in order to which to address these whistleblower issues is not gaining traction. And, particularly to kind of maybe amplify upon that, I think the essence of that Schumer-Rounds amendment was to create a management structure that you could argue perhaps mirrored the original process that was maybe put in place by Truman and Eisenhower to manage this topic, but to do it in a manner that was assured to have proper congressional oversight and proper transparency and accountability to elected officials, which had ceased to pertain at some point in the past. And so essentially by not passing this, Congress has written themselves out of any type of way forward, and without a control group to manage the policy aspect, then the government's really not going to be in a position to deal with ramification of any released material. And so increasing whistleblowers, increasing attention is going to force the government into a reactive mode and really a hunker down mode.
And that's essentially the clip that I wanted to share with Carl Nell, that the disclosure attempts for the last 8 years are now over, more or less. We're in a new phase. Have we lost the disclosure war? No, because we do know that there have been many, many, many people in high-ranking positions who have said that this stuff is all real and true. For those who insist that only the President of the United States should be the disclosure one, and we won't believe it until he says so, good luck with that. It's not going to happen. And besides, that doesn't change the information that we've received from very credible individuals for decades. So kind of makes you wonder, is this whole disclosure thing just a huge distraction so that those in the true power can just keep doing what they're doing with complete immunity from all governments? Because that's what's happened. And it will continue to happen.
By other beliefs. So like in for instance, what's other beliefs? Well, it'd be like whistleblowers coming forward and testifying to Congress, right? Admiral Gallaudet testified before Congress, like Lou Elizondo testified before Congress. David Grush testified before Congress, right? These people are under oath testifying to the reality of this stuff, right? And they're in positions to know. But you could look at presidents, President Barack Obama, President Trump, they both said UAP are real, right? Chaim Eshed, the head of the Israeli Space Force from several years back, said NHI are real. Paul Hellyer from Canada, defense minister, said NHI are real. Gordon Cooper, one of the 7 Mercury astronauts, testified before the United Nations in 1979 that he chased UAP over Germany when he was in the Air Force, and he was the headquarters commander at Edwards Air Force Base. There was actually a landing that they filmed, and you can go Google that and you can see him in person relating that in a historical way. But he testified before Congress to that effect, just like David Fravor and Ryan Graves testified. And then you've got witnesses testifying to interactions at our ICBM sites where missiles were brought offline in the United States, and then across the world in the Soviet Union at the time, missiles were brought online, and this is substantiated by documents and testimony. And you've got this correlation between observed UAP activity and nuclear sites, incursions in the northern nuclear tier. In fact, there's an agreement between the United States and the former Soviet Union, not a treaty, but an agreement that's still in force, intended to reduce the threat of nuclear war. And it has provisions for like use of the Washington-Moscow hotline. And one of the criteria, like the second criteria, is if we detect UFOs in our ballistic missile early warning system, we're going to alert the Soviets to prevent like an exchange, like an inadvertent exchange.
And that is the second important clip that I wanted to share with you to let you know that there have been several high-level officials around the world saying this thing is real, this stuff is real. And so we talk about controlled disclosure. We've already had it. You just saw it again with a whole litany of lists of who's who in telling us that UFOs are real. I mean, it can't get any stronger than that. So the catastrophic disclosure isn't going to change much, other than saying, well, they're here and they're real. We already know that. So this whole disclosure thing, it makes me wonder, why have we been worried about? Why have they convinced the American public to want disclosure? And they're stringing us along and stringing us along and stringing us along. And they're never going to tell us anyway. But in the meantime, what are they doing? You know, the word PSYOP comes to mind. I'm not even a conspiracy theorist. And now I'm beginning to wonder, what are they still hiding? We don't know. We're no closer to knowing. And the bad news is we've lost that war, I think. They're never going to tell us. Do we have to find out? Well, what else is there to do except keep digging, keep searching? And Richard Dolan has said that as well. He had some good comments I won't focus on in this video, but I just wanted to briefly share the news for those of you who haven't heard. From my opinion, no, disclosure war is not lost. We haven't lost. But Congress still doesn't have the power that we were hoping we, the people, could give them. You and I have been excluded. And if that doesn't piss you off enough to rethink who you're going to vote into office, then you haven't been paying attention, because everyone we put into office is bought. And if that's all the best we can do, then we're in trouble. I'm not even going to go there. We will lose everything we have. I'll put it that way. And unfortunately, we all may live to see that. I hope that day doesn't come, but, you know, hopefully the NHI have charity in their hearts and they'll come and help us out, because you and I have been eliminated from this process, and apparently there is nothing we can do about it because of the weak nature of our current Congress, Senate, House, and presidency. Nobody can change the fact that they're not going to disclose. So that's the news. That's my take on it. I hope you guys have a good night. Thanks for watching the Backyard Professor Respond videos. Much more to come as I find it. Yeah, there's still hundreds and hundreds of conspiracies and complete bunk being thrown out there about 3-Eye Atlas, because people are so ignorant they have nothing else to talk about. None of it that you see on YouTube is accurate or true, so far as I can tell. I'm done wasting my time with the shenanigans and the bullshit. I have much better subjects to study and research and share with you on the esoteric side, and I'm going to pursue that direction and valid UFO news, not just making stuff up about a comet that we can't even see, or an asteroid, call it whatever you want. But I seriously am skeptical about it being a mothership or technology. And that's just how I am. I have seen no good valid evidence to show me otherwise. So until I see that, I'm going to stick with the natural explanation entirely. So, all right, you guys have a great night. I'll catch up to you very soon.